So, good afternoon, everybody. What a beautiful afternoon to be joining you wherever you are watching in from. You might know my face, you might know my name, but my name is Liz Simpson, and I am one of a very busy team of four education advisors here at Caffrey who have the lovely job of being invited into your schools to talk to year groups about study opportunities at Caffrey as an alternative to A levels and further beyond. Thank you for joining us here this afternoon. You are so welcome. This is going to be a very short signposting webinar, made even more shorter if I press the wrong button, but I hope it not to take any more than about 30 or 35 minutes, a single period. In fact, normally in a school I'd have the bell ringing, but I'm imagining there's a bell about to go off, and whoever thought that we would miss the sound of the school bell. I know from the list of emails of registrations of the that have joined into this afternoon's webinar, and I've got a lovely mix of people. I've got some year 12 school leavers, I've got my colleagues in the careers service. Hello Rosemary and Colleen. I've got some careers teachers tuning in. Hello Lorraine and Rosie and Claire, and I know we've got some year 11s in the mix there as well. And whilst this presentation this afternoon is primarily for GCSE school leavers for this coming September, it's really just a refresher for those that have maybe heard of Caffrey talk before and are still undecided about what they want September to look like. And what's also really nice is, whilst this is a short sort of 30-minute session, it's backed up by a series of presentations on our Caffrey TV that's on the web YouTube channel. And we've been really very busy behind the scenes for the last number of weeks, posting course-specific presentations with much more detailed information that you can access yourself in your own time. And I'll give you the link to that at the very end of the presentation. So, why choose Caffrey? Look at what our options are, look at life on campus. That's pretty much what I'd like to do with you this afternoon. Just about 3 or 4 topics. You know, I want to talk to you about what Caffrey can offer you that's different to other institutions, or that what school can offer you. I want to look at the course options available at Caffrey as A-level alternatives, equivalents. Actually, sometimes people think that the level 2, level 3 option is less than the A-level option, and that's absolutely not the case. It's just a different way about getting to the same place. Look a wee bit about what it's like for students on campus, and then if you haven't already and you're tuning in today and you'd like to find out how to apply, then there'll be some tips at the end of the presentation on that. And then at the very end, there'll be a live Q&A session with myself and the education advisors. But you don't have to wait to the very end of the presentation to ask questions. There's a chat box at the bottom, or maybe at the top of your screen. So make sure and type in any questions that you might have as I move through the presentation. You don't have to put your hand up like you might do in school. You can just type through the questions with anonymity, and my colleagues Deirdre and Tony and Alan are working in the background to answer your questions. I choose Caffrey. I did a count last night, and there are 36 FE campuses across Northern Ireland that you could choose from as a school alternative. That's combining the sort of regional colleges and all the different campuses that they have, and the 3 of our own, of course, as well. So why would you choose to come and study at Caffrey? Well, I can think of lots of very good reasons. One of the things that makes us very special and very unique and stands out from all of the other study opportunities that you can do in Northern Ireland is that at Caffrey we have a university and a college learning experience that we can offer students. What that means is that whilst we are a university, insofar as we take students after A levels and they can study at foundation and honours degree and work their way all the way up to masters and PhD should they choose to, we're different from them, and we're like the regional colleges insofar as we take students after age 16 and we let them study on A-level alternative courses. Universities don't do that, they only take them at age 18. We're the same as the universities insofar as that we have halls of residence, that we have tuition fees, but then we're different again in that each of our campuses are very specific to the disciplines that students can study on. We've got a range of level 2 and level 3 study options that are in demand by employers. And in demand is highlighted because absolutely, Colleen and Rosemary that are tuning in, you'll be familiar with the skills barometer, and it's something that we talk about in schools, which is where the predictions are, where the jobs are going to be in 10 years' time. And all of the disciplines available at Caffrey, particularly agriculture and particularly food, But horticulture, veterinary and equine and floristry as well, they are considered to be in demand. That means that the prediction in 10 years time is that people with those qualifications will get jobs. There will be career opportunities for them. So that's really important. That means that what we're offering you is something tangible that will bring you into a job. Another thing that we're really proud of is our learning by doing. That's what we're all about at Caffrey, is learning by doing. And that means that as well as being in a classroom environment where you're learning the theory that underpins the subjects that you're looking at, you also get that very, very important hands-on learning, which means that you have the understanding and the practical knowledge of how to do the job that you're qualifying in. And then, as I said, of course, there's routes to foundation, BSc and higher level study and beyond that the level 2, level 3 courses can bring you to. And finally, we have so many success stories. I would need a week of webinars to talk to you about the Caffrey success stories that we have. Year on year, we have upwards of 91, 92, 93% of graduates who are in jobs or in higher education within 6 months of graduation. And that's really important because that means that the study path that you're choosing, there's going to be a reward at the end of it. And of course, like every college environment, a university environment, it's great crack. You'll know already that similar to Ulster University, where they've got their 3 campuses, Coleraine, Magee and Jordanstown, Caffrey's the same, and we've got 3 campuses dotted across Northern Ireland. We've got our Greenmount campus in Antrim, predominantly known as being an agricultural college, but our horticulture programmes, our floristry and our veterinary nursing programmes are delivered up there as well. Campus in Cookstown is predominantly a food college. It's not a catering college. It's for people interested in studying food science, food manufacture, food nutrition and areas in that. And then we've got our campus which is all things equine. And whilst you know the campus is quiet at the minute, we don't have the buzz of students around. One of the things that I'm really proud of at the minute is our halls of residence are buzzing. And you might wonder with who. And actually our Antrim campus and our Enniskillen campus are full at the minute with NHS doctors and nurses that are using our campuses because they're close to the Antrim and Enniskillen hospitals to allow them then to self-isolate from home during this COVID crisis. So we're doing our bit in that respect as well. The campuses are central in that they're close to main towns, but they're rural set and they're just about a mile or 2 away from the main towns. So they're rural, they're quiet. Most people describe them when they come to visit them. They talk about them being home from home. And that's important because the small family environment that we have, certainly in these sort of strange times, allows for that social distancing requirement that is so important. So let's move into the study pathways that are available to the GCSE school leavers. And you've got 2 routes. You've got level 2 study and level 3 study. And we're going to look at level 2 study first. So level 2 study has got 2 options. Your first option is option A, and option A is really full-time study. That's coming to college every day for a full year. Now, some of the courses might have 1 day a week, or maybe our agriculture courses, for example, or our floristry courses where you spend 1 day of that week maybe working on a farm or working in a business, but pretty much the full-time option is 1 year of study on campus. And we ask you to have the entry requirement of 2 GCSEs, including maths and English, or 3 Ds, including maths and English, and some courses will ask you to have some prior experience before starting. So for example, our agriculture programs would like to see that you have a good year of agricultural experience under your belt before you apply. Similarly with the equine courses, they would like you as well to have about 40 hours of equine experience. And as well as there being the full-time study, there's also the part-time study, and we call these work-based diplomas. So I'm not sure if that's a new term for you, but that pretty much means that while you're studying, you're working and your assessments are very much work-based. And of course, if they're work-based and you're more in the workplace and less in college, then that's going to take your study a wee bit longer. So it's up to 2 years study part-time off campus in a sort of a work setting. And we ask you again to have those 2 GCSEs, including maths and English. And very much the difference between the work-based and the full-time is the work-based diploma has got a really big a really big focus on practical learning. Level 3, taking it a step up, then the option there is 2 years of full-time study, or 3 if it's the level 3 agriculture programme, where the middle year of those 3-year programmes is a full year spent out working in an agricultural environment. So most of our level 3 courses, apart from the agriculture one, they're 2 years long, full-time study, on campus with a placement built into the programme somewhere along the way, usually between the first and the second year. We've stepped up the level of study, so therefore we step up the entry requirements, and we ask you to have a minimum of 4 GCSEs, and we ask you to have maths and English as a minimum on those. And some programmes will also ask you to have GCSE science or agriculture level 3, and our food technology courses will absolutely ask you to have GCSE science mixed in there. And that's just because of the content of the programmes. Your GCSE science gives you the building blocks that you need to make learning that way. And the same with level 2, that you had a part-time study option, you have the same with level 3. There's a part-time study option. Again, that work-based diploma. This only applies to our agriculture courses. We only have a level 3 work-based diploma in agriculture. We don't have it in any of the other disciplines. So this means it's up to 2 years part-time study, again off campus in the employment setting. And you can see the entry requirements there would be asking you to have either level 2 diploma and your 2 GCSEs as well. Just to mention the agriculture study option there, when we're talking about the work-based diplomas, we know that agriculture is predominantly delivered up at our Greenmount campus, but for that work-based option, it's important to point out that we have out centres where those programmes are delivered as well, just to make it that wee bit easier for you to get access to the tutors and to the face-to-face learning. And so those out centres are at Greenmount campus, obviously, but down at our Enniskillen campus, and we have out study centres in Tobermoor and Banbridge. So we've just sort of dotted them around Northern Ireland to make accessing them that wee bit easier for people who are spread geographically across the province. Okay, so one of the things that I certainly love as a past graduate of Caffrey myself, and one who benefited very much from all of the facilities specifically at Loughry campus, one of the things that we're really proud of, and we know because we've been told by employers time and time again, the thing that gives our graduates the competitive edge is this learning by doing ethos that we have. And learning by doing, as you can guess, means getting your hands dirty, getting involved, and not just sitting listening to the theory, but actually doing it and putting it into practice. And that usually means that our classrooms can get a wee bit noisy. So if you take our Enniskillen campus, for example, well, all of the studies down there are focused on equine. And if you have about 60 horses, which we do down at Enniskillen campus, we've got a mixture of sort of sport horses and thoroughbreds. You can imagine that it can get a wee bit noisy whenever you're on yard duties down on campus. But that makes that learning by doing so important. And so whenever students are learning about the requirements of the horses and how to look after them and their nutritional needs and how to keep them healthy and how to keep them well exercised, you can't do that in a classroom. You have to have access to those horses and that stable environment. And again, particularly for those who have an interest in going on to become yard managers as well, this yard environment that is day and daily to them means that they have that knowledge and experience. The students are specifically interested in going into the racing industry or going into the equitation industry. Pretty much what an Enniskillen campus affords students is if horses are your passion, and when I go into schools I meet many students who just love their horses. If horses are your passion and you want to turn a hobby into a career, a viable career, then the campus has got everything that you need and more. And I'm just noticing actually to the right of that photograph, you can see as you go up the hill, you can see the racetrack that the students would use as well whenever they're out taking their horses out for a race or on the point to point. So all things equine related are down at our Enniskillen campus. We've got a lovely course, a level 2 course in animal nursing assistance, and I spoke to Sarah. Sarah, if you're tuning in today, hello. I spoke to Sarah on our Discover Caffrey Facebook last night, who had a particular interest in studying veterinary nursing. And this level 2 course that we have are for people who love the idea of working with animals, but they know that being a veterinary surgeon is maybe just beyond them, or they love the idea of working with animals, but they don't want to be the person who's performing the surgery. So this level 2 nursing assistant program is a 1-year-long program, and it's pretty much the stepping stones to get you on your way to qualifying and becoming a veterinary nurse. And you'll find more details and more information about that on our presentations and on our website, and the requirements that you need to be able to access the program. But again, you can see that hands-on learning by doing, that's so important, where the students will be on class and in a laboratory sort of veterinary practice environment learning from our expert vets. Moving away from animals and moving into sort of all things green, there'll be lots of students that I meet in school and they maybe have never considered horticulture as a career. So they will be sporty, they will like the idea of an outdoor job, maybe like the idea of becoming their own boss. Maybe have studied geography, technology and design, art and design, those sorts of subjects in school, and I've never thought that horticulture would bring them into a career that they would enjoy. And this is certainly a course that's offered at level 2 and level 3 at our Greenmount campus. And there's a couple of different options of study that you can do for those that are interested in sports turf management, that love the idea of maybe not being good enough to become a professional athlete or sports person, but want to be working in that sports environment. There's the opportunity to specialise in sports turf management. Or for the people who consider themselves to be quite creative and like the idea of maybe landscape designing and building and drawing and designing, then that's an opportunity that can be studied through the horticulture route as well, hard and soft paving and landscape design. And then there's the amenity aspect of horticulture as well, where people who are maybe typically working, sometimes some of our students will come from the local councils, and their job then is working just to keep our gardens and our green spaces so nice and neat and colourful, and they will learn all the elements of sort of plant and soil science. And there's a misperception sometimes that if you study horticulture, it's maybe sitting on a ride-on lawnmower all day. That's not the case. There's a lot of science involved in the horticulture programmes, and indeed all of ours, insofar as that you need to understand, your plants, and you need to understand the science behind them and be able to identify them as well, for those that maybe have got an interest in going on to become head gardeners or working in parks and things like that. Speaking of flowers, this has taken it to a new level. If you like the idea of becoming a qualified skilled florist, then there's a level 2 and a level 3 study opportunity available at Greenmount, both full-time, both delivered at our Greenmount campus, as I've already said. And what makes this one particularly lovely is that the students, they go to class every day, and their class is a flower shop where we have fresh flowers delivered weekly, if not daily, and the students are getting that hands-on learning of understanding elements of floristry, whether it's bouquets, whether it's wreaths, whether it's designing rooms for events and functions. And this is a really popular one for school leavers who loved this study of art and design and like that idea of doing something very, very creative. And of course, the lovely settings that each of our campuses afford students as they are able to take that inspiration from the outside in as well. Such a lovely learning environment. Moving away from flowers and crops and moving into sort of heavy plant machinery, this is where things do definitely get noisy. This is an aerial photograph of our land-based engineering classroom. So it's not the typical classroom that you would find in a school or in a college, but this is what Caffrey can offer students who are interested in studying and qualifying in land-based engineering. We don't have a level 2 study route for this, only level 3. It's full-time study, 2 years long, delivered up at our Greenmount campus, and that's where the boys and girls go into college every day, and you can see the type of learning that they're doing. They're working on agricultural machinery, learning how to service, they're learning how to overhaul, they're learning how to work on new machinery, on old machinery, they're looking at diagnostics and particularly electronics in this sort of digital age of technology where a lot of things can be done remotely. And staying with the agriculture theme and staying with the noise theme, I know that we've got a lot of people tuning in this afternoon who are very interested in our level 2 and our level 3 agriculture. I had a conversation with James on Discover Caffrey Facebook last night. James, hello, if you're tuning in. You said you're interested in our level 3 agriculture course. So at Greenmount campus, you've got those 2 study routes that I mentioned at the start. And again, the learning by doing is so important, and you can see what's happening here. We have got, our livestock, we've got all the facilities that students with an agricultural interest need to learn to qualify and be able to do the job competently. I said to you before about the focus of level 2 being on practical learning, where you're learning the practical skills of dosing, of dehorning, of hoof trimming, of spraying, fertilising, whatever it is. That's the practical hands-on stuff. And then when we move up to the level 3 study, then we're blending more of the theory into it and the underpinning knowledge, and we're introducing a wee bit more of the business management and the financial skills, because our farms are our businesses and we want them to be profitable just the same as any other business would want to be. Agricultural students get this learning by doing experience, and no more so than this lovely picture which shows you, I guess, the length of expenditure that Caffrey is willing to go to make sure that our students have state-of-the-art learning. And this is a photograph of our dairy unit that was built a number of years ago. And again, you can see there the students at work and the type of environment that they have for those that want to go into different aspects of the agriculture industry. And finally, we'll move a little bit closer to home. We'll move down to Cookstown, and I'm on campus at the minute with this live broadcast. And Cookstown Loughry campus is where we offer our food science, our food technology, our food nutrition, our food innovation programmes. And for GCSE school leavers who have maybe studied, of course, maths and English, but have studied science, maybe studied GCSE food and nutrition, this is an excellent programme if you're interested in the link between science and food. You don't necessarily have to like cooking. It's not a catering college. It's not about being the best chef. It's about understanding the interest of that link between science and food. And you can see Edmund and April there in our microbiology lab looking at some colony counts on an egg or a plate. The learning we do an element at Loughry as well, similar to the other campuses, is that we've got our mini processing areas, which give the students a feel of what real industry looks like. So when they go out on their work placements or when they go out to work, they know what the machines look like, they know what the environment looks like, and it's not alien to them. And they can absolutely hit the ground running, which is a term employers use with us often to talk about the graduates, that they're able to hit the ground running, and that's so important. So we've got a dairy unit, we've got a meat unit, we've got a chocolate factory, we brew some beer and some apple cider, and we get up to all sorts, because pretty much when the students graduate, we don't know where we know there'll be jobs in the industry. We're not sure what particular company might be advertising at any one time, so they get a wee bit of experience in all of the sectors so that they can pretty much apply for any of the jobs that come up. And it's not just about hairnet and wellies. There's a lot of sort of other stuff going on. And here's an example of students in our sensory suite where you can see what's happening here. Simon has got his nose plugged and he's got his eye mask about to go on. And this is teaching the students about the sensory analysis and the importance of food. Where when you remove your senses, some of your senses, then others become heightened. And product development is a big part of what students are learning. You can see Ruth there handing a sample in through the hatch in the taste panel room. This is the type of learning environment that students get because it's replicating what's going on in India. And it's not just about making the food, it's about packaging the food as well. And so most of the food we buy will come in a package, a can or a carton or a bag. And so it's about understanding the marketing aspects of packaging, what sells your food, and the environmental aspects of that packaging as well. So it's an all-rounded kind of course that's available for students who want to go in and work in the food industry. And of course, for all the noise, there's time to be quiet as well. There are lots and lots of places to be quiet. There are lots of study. Our campuses are beautiful. Anybody that's visited them will know that already. So the opportunity for students to sit outside, to be quiet, to be peaceful, to meditate if that's what they want to do, to draw inspiration for their designs or their ideas, all of that is on offer on our Caffrey campus. Because whilst they're different in what they offer, the settings are lovely insofar as typically we're surrounded by trees and fields and streams and rivers, and students get that space to study and the support to study. They also get that space to be on their own if that's what they want, but in a very safe, all homely environment. And you can see a photograph here of some of our student accommodation bungalows at our Greenmount campus for over 18 students, the bungalows at our Enniskillen campus. And so that's given those students that independence of living, that independence of being away from home, but still having to cook for themselves and still having to keep their own house, but equally as well. There's the dormitory environment where we look after students that wee bit more, where we provide food in our college restaurants. And you know, Avril here, for example, is from Rifo, so of course it doesn't make sense for her to travel up and down every day. So she's an example of a student who avails of our halls of residence. And of course, like every other institution and college and university, when we're not studying, when we're not working towards assignments and exams, it's all about having a bit of crack and meeting people. So on campus, there's lots of opportunities for students to be able to exercise. There's multi-gyms, there's rugby teams, football teams, lots of teams for students to get involved and to play cross-campus tournaments, and then wider afield as well. We've got racing teams, equitation teams, where the students are taking themselves away off and competing in different levels of competition. Opportunities to travel and see the world. Particularly our agriculture students are very good at that, and a lot of the level 3 students will use that 1 year work placement opportunity that they have at level 3 to explore and to travel and see the world. And we've 7 level 3 students out in New Zealand at the minute making their way in agriculture, and no doubt getting lots and lots of experiences that they will bring home and never forget. And that's all supported, all those work placements that we offer all of our students. We help them find them, we make sure they're safe places for them to go, and we look after them. And of course, there's the obligatory social life. There's the having fun, whether it's in the form of formals or dances or discos. What that's going to look like going forward, who knows? But you know, the social aspect of college and university life is a really important one. So that's something that our senior leadership team are looking at and working very hard at the minute to make sure that we can accommodate college life as best we can, with, of course, sticking to the guidelines. So we're coming towards the end of the presentation here now. So I'm just going to finish off with a couple of slides where we talk about how to apply. And I know that some people tuning in today have already, and this is a refresher. So congratulations to you. You've got your conditional offer, and hopefully the grades that you get in the coming weeks and months will allow you to accept our offer. But if you haven't and you're still thinking about applying, you can do that up until about the 23rd of June. So you've still got lots of time, and it's a very simple, straightforward process. Literally just go onto our Caffrey website. I'm sure a lot of you have been on it before. There's a really useful how to apply question and answer session in the course section, and that's really good. That will answer some questions that you might have. And then on the home screen, there's a tab that says apply online, and that will take you through a very simple, straightforward application process. And once you've done that and sent it to us, then we'll get in touch and let you know what happens next. And then of course, then you can congratulate yourself on the potential of a study pathway at Caffrey. One thing to mention just about money, at further education study, there are no study fees. There are no costs to study further education at any institution, nor Caffrey, not the regional colleges, or back at school. So there are no study fees for further education for level 2 or level 3 courses. The costs are really only incurred in your cost to live, i.e. your cost to travel to college, your cost to eat and to stay and buy books and things like that. So there are no study fees for further education courses, and then of course there's financial support in the form of student loans and means tested grants and information that you can find from your local education and library boards. A big reason to come to college or go to university is to get qualified, to get a job, and that's one of the things that I love about our Caffrey offerings, is that the courses are so specific that when you finish them, you're qualified to do a job. You've got a job title, whether it's a service engineer, whether it's a riding instructor, whether it's a farm inspector, whether it's a lab supervisor. You leave us qualified to do a job. And our success rate, our graduate success rate is year on year, so very impressive. As you can see there, 92% of graduates in jobs or higher education within 6 months of graduation. And you can see our sort of degree students to the front of the photograph, but then towards the back